Welcome to People and Profit. I'm Kate Moody. This spring, Celine fever hit the French capital as Canadian superstar Celine Dion announced a series of comeback concerts in September and October. The mini residency could be a huge boost to the local economy, with analysts saying Paris could see a windfall of anywhere from 300 million to over €1 billion from extra hotel and restaurant bookings, travel and retail spending. But many fans were left disappointed, either unable to secure a ticket or priced out. Gabrielle Nedler has more.
On social media, some fans are already showing their excitement for Celine Dion's Paris concerts. For others, any celebration was cut short upon seeing the ticket prices. €1,503 for 2 tickets, €1,103 for a spot in the pit. Some fans even say the prices rose significantly just before checking out.
You see, these tickets cost €426 total. I click continue. A window tells me the price might have changed, and now it's €855 for the same 2 spots. So the price basically doubled in the moment between clicking continue and going to my cart. We have a timer telling us we have 8 minutes to buy. We've just spent an hour struggling to find a ticket. I think it's a way to put pressure on fans to give in.
The fans are denouncing what appears to be dynamic pricing, a practice that adjusts prices in real time based on demand, which is legal in France. The initial terms were clear. Ticket prices were supposed to range from €89.50 to €298.50. When contacted, AXS, the ticket sales platform, said these were isolated incidents caused by a technical error.
The price variations observed in certain videos shared by fans online were caused by a temporary issue related to cache and third-party systems.
These kinds of stunning price hikes have already caused controversy across the channel, with the reunion tour of British rock band Oasis. France's Fraud Prevention Unit recently opened an investigation into misleading or unfair commercial practices by online ticket sale platforms. Exorbitant prices have also been seen among resellers who are already active on social media. Our colleagues at France 2 responded to this post, advertising a ticket for, at first, €1,000. In a phone conversation, the seller said they bought the ticket for €232, but wouldn't sell it for any less than $800.
No, I know I'm going to sell it for that price.
To avoid scams, the venue hosting the Canadian Stars shows is advising people not to buy tickets at auction or through private sellers, and to use official resale channels, as their search for tickets goes on.
For more, we're joined by Andrew Mall, Associate Professor of Music at Northeastern University. Thanks for being with us on the show today. Dynamic pricing is the bane of many would-be concert-goers' existence now. Talk us through what it is and how it's become so prevalent.
Thanks, Kate. I'm happy to be here. Dynamic pricing is something like surge pricing for rideshare services such as Uber or Lyft, or even sometimes similar to how airlines change their ticket pricing as well. Essentially, as the demand on the consumer side increases, on the supply side, the price increases as well. The goal is to create kind of a balance between what consumers are apparently willing to pay and the actual price of the actual face value of the tickets.
How far can this go? Are we approaching the stage where fans might not be able to afford to go see live performances of big artists?
Yeah, well, those are 2 different questions, right? So how far can it go? It really just can go as far as fans are willing to pay, right? And so what we see in the Celine Dion ticket kerfuffle and the ticketing processes of some other major tours over the last few years is that there are actually lots and lots and lots of fans who are indeed willing to pay those higher prices. So as long as there are fans who can afford to and are willing to pay those higher prices, the ticketing giants that run the industry, Ticketmaster, and I know the Celine Dion concerts were handled by AXS, they'll continue offering those services to artists. Are some fans being priced out of concerts? Yes, absolutely, right? So fans who aren't able or aren't willing to spend hundreds or even thousands of euros or dollars on going to concerts, they'll have fewer and fewer opportunities to see some of the biggest artists perform.
Now, in April, a U.S. court found that Live Nation and Ticketmaster had been acting as a monopoly, overcharging for big venues. Are ticket platforms going to be facing more regulation?
So the The case that was decided recently in the United States regarding Live Nation and Ticketmaster wasn't necessarily about dynamic pricing or about how different fees kind of add up to expand or explode the cost of tickets. It was about how that company, which is a single company, engages in unfair business practices in order to kind of keep control of the market for live venues and for ticketing. We don't really know what to expect yet in the United States. We don't know if there's going to be a breakup, if there's going to be a substantial fine, if there's going to be some kind of oversight on the government's part. The Department of Justice, which is the federal level system in the United States, they actually offered Live Nation and Ticketmaster to settle the federal case, but the decision that we heard recently continued with several of the states and their attorneys general to continue their lawsuit against Live Nation Ticketmaster. I do think it's possible that we'll see additional oversight as a result of that case.
What about the impact on artists in all this? Are they just raking in the cash as their tickets are sold at higher price points?
Well, I would hope so, right? I would hope that artists can profit more from the additional costs of the tickets. So when dynamic pricing is employed, that is often at the request of the artist, or that is almost always with the knowledge of the artist or the team that's working on their behalf. And yes, a portion of the additional revenue that comes in from higher price tickets will go to the artist team. Now, remember, an artist like Celine Dion or Oasis or some of the larger bands and artists out there, they have very, very big teams that work on those tours and concerts with them. So it's not just that Celine Dion or the Gallagher brothers are raking in tons of money, it's that they're splitting it up amongst all the different people that work on the concert and tours with them. Now, some of the other fees that we see tacked on to tickets, some of those other fees go directly to the venue or to the promoter, the company that works to organize the concert. So all the additional fees that you see on your receipt, in addition to the price of the ticket, those don't always go to the artist.
Now, we've mentioned some of the big headline acts, Celine Dion, Oasis, Taylor Swift, BTS from the K-pop scene. The music industry, of course, goes far beyond these big stadium tours. Talk to me about smaller venues. Are they losing momentum as these mega tours become more prevalent, or is it perhaps an opening for smaller and mid-sized venues?
So I can say that in many cities in the United States, we've seen the smallest venues actually face a lot of competition and not have enough revenue to continue on. It is a low profit margin business. So when I'm talking about the smallest venues, I'm talking about venues that can accommodate maybe between 100 and 500 patrons. So those smallest venues are facing increased pressure due to lots of forces beyond the forces that we're talking about today. But the medium-sized venues are actually seeing really, really great business. So venues that range, say, from 500 up to about 3,500 patrons, concerts at those venues are often selling very, very well. They usually do not employ dynamic pricing. In the United States, those concert tickets can range anywhere from $25 up to a couple $100, depending on the artist and depending on the kinds of VIP packages that are being offered. I do think there is an opening, and my advice often to people who ask me, what can I do about these exorbitant price tickets, is to go see smaller artists, go see local artists, go see artists that have dedicated fan bases, but maybe aren't playing stadiums close by.
The music industry is changing so fast at the moment. What do you think really resonates with music fans these days? What are they looking for?
One thing I think that really does resonate, and this is something that feeds into the conversation that we're having today, is people are tired of feeling like their feeds, their social media feeds, and even their music feeds on the streaming services that they use, people are tired of feeling like they're being fed stuff. When you go to a concert, it's real. There are humans up on the stage making the music, singing, dancing, performing for you. And you're surrounded by hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of other people all enjoying the same experience. That's not something that we get very often in other realms of our lives. We can get that when we go to sporting events. We can get that when we participate in festivals. We can get that in lots of other cultural events too. And I think it's this need for connection with human creativity, with human culture, and with other people who love the same things that we do. That's one of the things that we get out of it.
Artificial intelligence is a big cause of concern for many artists, but creative inspiration for others. What role do you see for AI in music creation?
We're really at an inflection point for artificial intelligence in music. You're right that it's long been used as a creative tool, and I believe it will continue to be used as a creative tool for musicians and songwriters. In lots of ways, it helps producers expand the sonic palette. It helps songwriters flesh out their ideas. It helps performers kind of fill in the gaps if they have specific production needs in terms of visuals, in terms of the sonic experience as well. That to me is uncontroversial. What is controversial is using AI to create entire songs, using AI to deepfake or to mimic established artists, using AI to establish entirely new artists in order to create music that people on streaming services are going to hear and even get excited about. The more AI produced music there is, the less opportunities there are for performers and songwriters and musicians to make a living. This is a really, really difficult industry, no matter what you do in it. AI can really help people flourish, but it can also take away opportunities as well.
And we have seen some artists moving to copyright their voices and images in a move to try and protect their brand. Do you think that's the right move?
I think that is the right move. The copyright regulations work differently in different areas of the world. They work differently in the United States than they do in the EU or in the UK. So, in some regions, it may be easier to copyright your likeness, your image, and your voice, or to trademark it, depending on what kind of intellectual property we're talking about. That is one way to protect you from infringement if you're a major artist, to have some kind of recompense in the courts to go after people who are using your name, your likeness, your voice to make profit for themselves. But it doesn't actually stop the problem, right? It's more of a defense. It's more of a reaction than it is being proactively regulating these tools. So some of the things that many artists and other people in the music industry are talking about are how to develop agreements with the tech companies that are creating these tools, how to come up with blanket licenses that would actually enable this kind of creativity in a productive way, and ultimately what kind of oversight on the governmental side might be necessary in order to protect artists' rights.
Lots of questions about the future of the music industry there. Andrew Mall from Northeastern University, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Kate, for having me. It's a pleasure.
And thank you for watching. Don't forget you can find our previous shows on the website or as a podcast wherever you usually listen. Stay tuned to France 24.